Hi, babies. I'm so sorry. Hi, Jamal, my baby James. You're here. James, what are you doing still up? I appreciate you coming, though. Yes. Hello, good night. Give me a thumbs up. This is to help me with so much time hours. But what I will be doing, I will be reading. Uh, I have introduced a grand opening of a library, Cooking with JW's Colony. And so we have a cafe, we have a kitchen, and now we have a library because I love to read, right? And I stopped reading a long time ago because my eyesight got very, very bad. So this is what we're gonna do. Hey, Miss April. Oh, y'all up tonight. Why y'all can't sleep? Some wrong. Y'all can't sleep tonight. But I'm glad you're here. Not glad that you can't sleep, but I'm glad you're here. And so what we're gonna do, I am going to read a book, and it's about a jazz musician. And I want you to put in the chat if you know who I'm reading about. And so this is how we're gonna do this, all right? So there's gonna be an introduction. Jubba jubba jubba, love Bruce, love TV. This is how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna read an introduction, and then you will probably, kind of get a gist. Could you all please give me a like? See, I would have normally did like a silent live. Hi guys, it is me. I would have normally did a silent live, but I love to read. I am an avid reader until I couldn't read that much because my eyesight got very, very terrible. And so man, I'm on the road again. I cannot help myself. I want to read. So I'm going to read something, but you have to figure out who I'm reading about. And if you know, put it in the chat below. If you hang around, hang around. If not, I understand because this is late. But so put it in the chats and give me a thumbs up if you have to go. And I appreciate you coming along. So let's get to it, y'all. Let's get to it. Okay. So this is an artist. She's a jazz singer. Hello, good night to you. It's safe for you. All right, everyone speaking. So I'm gonna start this off, and I want to know if you all will know who I'm reading about. So we start off. I'm not gonna tell you the title either, so you have to kind of figure it out. You may know, you may not, but we will know in the end. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on April 7, 1915, Sadie Fagan gave birth to a daughter. She named her Eleonora. The world, however, would know her as blank, possibly the greatest jazz singer of all time. Y'all put it in the chat. That's a hint. So we will go on. Eleonora's journey into legend took her through pain, poverty, and run ins with the law. By the time she was 15, she knew she possessed something that could possibly change her life. A voice. Eleonora could sing. That remarkable voice led her to Harlem. So, y'all getting it? Y'all getting it? Put it in the chat if you know. So, that remarkable voice led her to Harlem nightclubs, the Apollo Theater, and a place on the spotlight with some of the era's hottest big bands. Blank sang from somewhere inside her. that made it seem as if she had lived each lyric, and in many ways she had. This unique talent is what made Blank more than a singer. She was an artist. You said good night. You finna go? Okay, think about it, James. All right, good night, baby. Thumbs me up, yo. Through a sequence of raw and poignant poems that formed the singer's fictional memoir, award-winning poet Carol Boston Weatherford chronicles Blank Eleanor Fagan's metamorphosis into Blank. Okay, see, I should have did this before I started. We hear the intimate voice of the artist as she examines her young life, her fight for survival, and the dreams she pursued with passion. With stunning art by Floyd Cooper that captures the spirit of the time, this book offers a revealing look at a cultural icon. So, if you couldn't get it from then, so now we go into it, and I will read one chapter at a time, one chapter a day, and I'm going to try not to say her name. But this is a very, very lovely person that been through many things, but it was like she's an icon. It is a woman. So we're gonna go with the first chapter. We're gonna go with the intro. What shall I say? That is the intro. So, what shall I say? This is the intro, y'all. The way mom told it around that magazine with my photo inside. You have thought I was woman of the year. I don't blame Sadie. Wasn't every day that a colored face, let alone her only child, appeared in Time. Time meaning Time magazine, y'all. I was proud too, till I read what the two-bit critic wrote. Called me roly poly. Said I wouldn't diet, was stuck on my own voice and carried for tunes, but not the words. What did he know about my taste in food or music? I never even talked to the cat, but he'd better not cross my path. If he dares, he'll get a mouthful. Hear just how I got to Harlem and become Lady Day. Oh, the tales I tell. That is intro, y'all. Y'all still don't know? Okay. Why was I born? And this is this baby asking herself these things. Why was I born? Why was I born? Because Sadie had one day off a week from her job as a living maid and crammed as many thrills as she could into a few hours she called her own. Because teenagers flocked to the carnival in July for rides, cotton candy, and sideshows. Because Clarence had rested his banjo for the evening, hoping to sneak a peek under the tent during the burlesque show. Because he and Sadie bumped into each other at the hot dog stand and shimmied all night long in the sultry summer air. Because Clarence whispered in Sadie's ear, sweet talked his way right up her skirts. Because that one time was all it took for two dumb kids to make a baby. Cause Sadie went to Philly with full belly to keep from shaming her Baltimore kin. Cause I could not wait a minute longer to burst on the scene at 2:30 a.m. April 7, 1915. Was good a time as any to gasp my first breath, cry my first chord. Cause I no more choose my folks than chosen my Eleanor. Okay. What's up, culture? Guess it didn't work. Okay. Love me or leave me. No, they didn't do it. No, I guess it didn't work. Love me or leave me. I was 2 weeks old when the mom sent for her daddy's folks, the same ones who shut the door on her as a child. When her daddy got a girl from the wrong side of the tracks in trouble. Mom knew they wanted no part of her, but she hoped they'd take me off her hands. She couldn't be a living maid and nurse a child. She turned to her half sister Eva, betting that blood was thicker than shame. But Eva was just wet and didn't want a crying baby spoiling her honeymoon. So Aunt Eva's new husband rode up to Philly and carried me to Baltimore, baby in tow. He showed up like a stray dog. On his mama's doorstep, Miss Martha took me in and cared for me just as she had other neighborhood kids down on their luck and without a home. I came to call her Grandma Martha. So, we're still getting into it. My first impressions of you. So, what I'm doing is reading the titles ahead, and what is explaining is what actually is going on beyond these titles. Tall, dark, and dashing, distant relative passing through with empty pockets and promises. You pinched my cheeks and bounced me on your knee, but music was your sweetie pie. Mm. You were the envelopes mom kissed, the letter she read over and over, and the dollar bill she tucked in her bra. You were the one she blamed when rent was due and I needed new shoes. The thief who stole her heart and her youth. A happy-go-lucky banjo playing whiskey swigging papa gone in the blink of an eye. Wow, that's kind of deep. How could you? Is the title of this excerpt. How could you? How could you pack your banjo and big band wishes and run to New York, leaving mom to care for me as best she could alone without a cent from you? What kind of father would do that? Clarence blank. Not that you ever came around much even before you left. So I have to try to keep the name out so that maybe you all will know. Maybe you can guess who I'm reading about and their life. One, two, button your shoe. We have another excerpt here. Keep thinking if you're in here, keep thinking if you're in here, hit the like button for me because just think of this as a silent live, but not so silent. Help me with some watch time hours. So we're going on. One, two, button your shoe. When I was 5, I wore high top shoes rather than heels, cotton frocks rather than furs, and white bows instead of gardenias. Ah, nice. So let's get right into it. So we're not we're not getting there. Nobody is. Figured it out, yeah. And this book is like a lot of excerpts, just like things of the mind or things that was written in their own voice. Missa Cantata sung mass. In Sadie cells, there was none of that Bible thumping, hand clapping, holy rolling kind of religion. We were staunch Catholics who lit candles before saints, ate fish on Fridays, and had the priest over for Sunday's lunch. At St. Francis Xavier, the oldest Black Catholic church in all of the United States, I was baptized with holy waters. Between Latin chants, I kneeled while Mom prayed Hail Marys. I knew how to cross myself before I could tie my shoes. That means when you do the cross from the head to the toe to the chest and over again. All right, so left alone. Soon as I got used to having mom around, she was gone again. She left town more times than I can count, each time leaving me in different hands. Grandma Martha, Aunt Eva, Miss V, and Miss Lou did their best by me, but they had troubles too. Mostly, I was on my own. Say it isn't so. Love, oh careless love. Love, oh careless love. Love, oh careless love. Can't you see what love has done to me? I love my mama and my papa too. I love my mama and my papa too. I love my mama and my papa too. Gonna leave them both and go with you. Really? Oh, what will mama say? What will mama say? What will mama say when she learns I've gone astray? Yes, okay. Aunt Eva frowned on the bawdy songs I learned from kids at school. In her house, only hymns were allowed. She'd wash and side my mouth with soap whenever I broke that rule. I can still taste those nasty bubbles. I didn't have china dolls and frilly dresses like other girls. All I had was a bunch of boys with naps in their hair, rocks in their pockets, and holes in their knickers, willing to let a tomboy like me join their gangs. I could beat every one of them at stickball and outskate any kid on eight wheels. I played softball better than any boy on the block. I may have had pigtails, but I struck out every Tom, Dick, and Harry who swung a bat. I earned my bragging rights. Oh, that's kind of familiar. And that's every meeny, miny, mo. Wow, that's deep. You ain't gonna bother me no more. I could keep up with the boys shooting marbles and dice, but not catching bugs. Crawly things gave me the creeps, and all the boys knew. Once after a ball game, I was sitting on the curb, and a sore loser swung a rat by the tail right in my face. I begged him to stop, but he just grinned. Then that rat brushed my cheek. I grabbed a baseball bat and sent that boy to the hospital. Oh my. Woo. And she said, don't do that no more. Mm-mm. Sent the rat to the hospital. So, you don't be doing things like that. Who's going to be twirling nasty grass? Oh, it brushed her cheek. Please, Lord have mercy. Practice makes perfect. At number 104, Elliott Elementary, our day began with prayer and the Negro National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing. And continued with the three R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, right. I was a caged bird at the desk, practicing handwriting and the timetables and grading textbooks cast off by white schools, torn pages leaving gaps in stories. While I recited a poem by heart, the teacher paced the floor, wrapping a ruler on her palm. In the classroom, her word was law. She didn't think twice about using a paddle if someone got out of line. In gym, I learned to box, and during recess, I scuffled with anyone who dared talk about my mama or even looked at me sideways. I made the biggest bullies cry. Go ahead, girl. Woo, yes. I can't count how many days the teacher kept me after school to write 100 times. I must not fight boys. I must not fight boys. I must not fight boys. Ghost of yesterday. My great grandmother was older than dirt and could spin a tale from a fleck of dust. As a slave on a Virginia plantation, she lived out back behind the big house and had 16 children by her master, Charles Fagan. Only one lived to be grown, my grandpa, Charlie Fagan. Great grandma couldn't read or write a lick, but she recalled slavery days and told Bible stories that she knew by heart. She suffered from dropsy. I don't know what that is. Would that be leprosy or something? But they call it dropsy. Kept her swollen legs bound in cloths and had to sleep sitting up. Some days I bathed her after school. Dropsy. Why would that be in today? Dropsy. I don't know. It wouldn't be leprosy, or would it be diabetes? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe she's diabetic. One night I dreamed she begged me to let her lie down and rest. I laid her on a blanket on the floor and she asked me to lie with her to hear a story in my dream. I fell asleep before she finished and I awoke in her death hold. Neighbors broke her arm to free me. I woke from that dream in a cold sweat. The dead had spooked me ever since. Okay, you was a child. I get it. Don't worry about me. An old lady who was always peeping out second story windows, nosing in everyone's business, shook her finger at me and said, I know what you're doing with those boys. I wasn't studying during the nasty. Besides, Mom had warned me neither one of us got a daddy who gives us the time of day. Don't make the same mistake. I can hardly keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. A baby is the last thing we need. Yeah, back in those days, I imagine. Sailboat in the moonlight. I dreamed Mom and Dad married on a silver lake, and in a cottage. On the shore, we danced as Dad plucked his banjo and sang blues. Having myself a time. Truth be told, no one raised me. I just ran wild. The folks Mom had looking after me while she was gone would get me off to school like clockwork. But they never knew if I went most days. I didn't run in the streets was more my speed when it came to playing hooky. I was a quick study. So she didn't go to school that much, so you know, she she was doing what most kids do today. They play hooky May not go to school, be somewhere, getting high or whatever they do, you know. I mean, hanging out. Guilty. I guess I pushed my luck. It was only a matter of time before a truant officer called to me on the streets during school. And mom and I would round up in court. The judge ruled that I lacked adult supervision. Wow. Now, this was back then, and of course, we got a lot of that going on now. Lack of adult supervision. Because our babies are running wild. Our babies are really running wild. They're doing a whole lot of things. I thought at 9 I'd outgrown that, but in the eyes of the law, I was a minor, and mom, an unfit mother, my sentence 1 year at the house of Good Shepherd for colored girls. Entrusted to nuns, I hoped time would fly. Oh, nuns. And so we have Gloomy Sunday. Gloomy Sunday, y'all. The house of the Good Shepherd was a drafty 6-story warehouse that scraped by on $3,000 a year. With wayward girls under their wings, the sisters of the Good Shepherd were as mean as they were penniless if we girls disobeyed. Oh my God, they was really mean there. Mother Superior made us stand on one foot in a corner, slammed our hands with a ruler, or made us wear a raggedy red dress instead of a blue or black cape uniform. Between chores and chapel prayers, we did schoolwork and needle crafts. Okay. I stayed to myself in the yard and ate alone in the kitchen, careful not to bother anyone. I rarely spoke and tried my darnest to steer clear of those streetwise petty criminals who had been raised in reform school. After 5 or 10 years, those girls' hearts turned cold. Older girls bribed younger ones with sweets and bullied their way into their beds. A dozen nuns turned a blind eye. This was no place for angels. But you're in a Catholic school with us. No place for angels. One girl died of tuberculosis, and the nuns laid her body in the chapel and locked me inside as punishment. For God knows why. That scared the devil out of me. The sisters of the Good Shepherd took in laundry and raised chickens to make ends meet. We girls all had chores, washing and ironing linens, making beds, mopping floors, feeding chickens, gathering eggs, peeling potatoes, and scouring pots. An idle mind is the devil's workshop, the nun said, and confession is good for the soul. Oh, yeah, I guess so. Once in the five and dime store, a pair of silk stockings called my name. Eleonora, wanna dance? When the clerk wasn't looking, I balled up those stockings, stuffed them in my pocket, and waltzed outside with my heart pounding. That wasn't the only time I stole. All right. God bless the child. Mm, God bless the child that has his own. I'm giving y'all a hint who I'm reading about. The nuns, God bless the child. The nuns called me Madge to protect my identity, but the priest called me my child. I was by no means a saint, but had sense enough to know I needed saving. So I asked to be baptized. The priest had no idea I was Christian as a baby, just that I was willing to change my sinful ways. That was good reason to renew my ties to God at the altar in a white dress and veil. I bathed like a bride after the priest doused holy water on my head. I took my first communion, bread and wine. the body and blood of Christ. Then the nuns gave me a string of rosary beads and a prayer book. I slept with that book. Interesting. Back in your own backyard. My silence paid off. The nuns assumed I repented and released me 3 months early for good behavior. Back with mom, back in fifth grade, back on the street. A month later, I dropped out of school for good. Whew, that was quick. That was quick. Jeepers Creepers. To earn some change for candy or the picture show, boys shined shoes, collected junk, or sold Afro newspapers. Girls minded babies or cleaned, in my case, front steps. Baltimore had mounds, row houses, and marble stoops, and even lousy housekeepers whose homes were filthy inside wanted sparkling clean stoops. That's where I walked in. The going rate for scrubbing steps was 5 cents. I figured I could double my money if I brought my own bucket and brush. I went from door to door, block to block with my offer. When someone balked at 15 cents, I'd throw in a bathroom or kitchen floor for free. Some days I made $2, a lot of money back then. Oh, Joe, that was way back then. $2. Oh my God, that was really back then. Oh my God. Okay, I'd never be the same. On Christmas Eve, 1926, Mom and her boyfriend, Wee Wee, had gone out on the town, leaving me home alone. Our neighbor, Mr. Rich, knocked on the door and asked Mom and said, Mom asked him to check. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my God. Let me go back because let me make sure I read this right. On Christmas Eve, 1926, Mom and her boyfriend, Wee Wee, had gone out on the town, leaving me home alone. Our neighbor, Mr. Rich, knocked on the door and said, Mom asked him to check on me, make sure I was okay. But he checked where he had no business, put his hands where no man's hands have been, and forced his way between my legs. That's where he was when Mom caught him with his pants down. She called the police and had him arrested. Hey man, dog, what you doing up, girl? You can't sleep. I'm reading about a woman, an artist, a jazz singer. I'm not gonna tell. And I've just been reading to see if someone could recognize who I'm reading about. And she was born way long ago, but she's an icon. So I'm just finished. I'm just reading. Maybe it will click with someone. But thank you for coming in. This is just part of my watch time hours, so I decided to read because I miss reading. I have to get back in tune with it because I haven't been reading much in a long time, and I'm an avid reader. I love reading, girlfriend. Oh my God, this is so exciting for me. So, where we left off, she called the police and had him arrested because he had his hands where he wasn't supposed to have them. He lied and said that she asked him to check in on her, whatever. She's a young girl now. At the police station, two doctors examined me, poked and prodded as I softly sobbed. Mr. Rich was charged with rape that put mom on trial too. The court sent me back to the house of Good Shepherd, this time as a state witness, but the nuns made me repent and I was baptized again, as if the rape had torn me from God. Those nuns. Oh, At the trial, the judge sentenced Mr. Rich to 3 months in jail. Hell, I was the victim and was locked away almost as long. In February, Mom borrowed money from her father for a lawyer. He got me released. I walked and talked the same as before, but my childhood was spent. Damn, 3 months for rape? Wow, they really, oh, Jesus. Mm, yes. So we're darn that dream. My dream was for a family. Mom's was for a restaurant. When she'd saved enough money working as a maid in Roland Park to rent a house with gas and electricity, she hung her shingles. The East Side Grill served the night crowd folks who had not had their fill when the clubs closed. In other words, she had a all nighter, like she could cook all night after the clubs closed. You know how you go to that restaurant that's open 24/7, especially after the clubs, you go get your ribs, your chicken, whatever. So this is what she was doing. The house specialties: spare ribs, pig's feet, and red beans and rice, with bootleg whiskey on the side. I kept long hours cooking, waiting tables, and washing dishes. There wasn't time for school, even if I cared. I was the only help Mom had. Mm. People of the night taught me everything I knew. I studied Alice Dean hard, from her diamond rings, Chinese furs, and satin dresses to her wide brimmed hats topped with bird of paradise feathers. The hustlers with her had bright silk hankies, blooming in coat pockets and red garters around their sleeves. They flashed dollar bills, but Alice didn't bat an eye. She had her own money. My dream was for a family. Mom's was for a restaurant. One of the two ain't bad. Somebody's stuff. Hey, Vay. Hey, honey. I'm just reading. Thank you, Vay. Thumbs up. Thank you. Y'all hit that like for me. This is part of my watch time hours, and I'm reading, and I feel very excited about it because the colony has an grand opening of a library, and we will be reading some things and exploring and uh, doing reactions to some books, and that's nice. And I'm reading a book, and so you're coming here at the worst, and so I just want to see if people know who I'm reading about, but maybe it'll come to you. I will get to a certain point, and then maybe you will catch on. I will throw some hints out there on the way. Oh, that will put me to sleep. I know. Yes, I used to put myself to sleep all the time reading. But some books I could not sleep on, even though I wanted to. So we're gonna continue on. I hear music. The blues are brewing. I'm reading about an iconic jazz artist. I was no stranger to hard work, and Miss Alice had plenty of it in her good time house. I kept busy with errands and chores, washing basins and toilets, changing towels, putting out lifebuoy soap, and peeking through a keyhole now and then. I got paid in tips, but would have worked for free to wind up here, Vitrola, and hear music fill the room. As Bessie Smith belted out bar after bar, bending nose to moves, I mouthed the words till I knew her blues by heart. Blessings, babe. The jazz bug bit me good when Louis Armstrong and his Hot Five swaggered through West End blues and turned music on its ear. I never heard singing without a single word. Scat dig that. Those blues were sure brewing. Scat did that scat. That's the Louis Armstrong. Yeah, he did the scat thing, baby, without even saying a word. St. Louis Blues by W.C. Handy, 1914. I hate to see that evening sun go down. I hate to see that evening sun go down because my baby, he's done left this town. Feeling tomorrow like I feel today. If I'm feeling tomorrow like I feel today, I'll pack my truck and make my getaway. St. Louis woman with her diamond ring pulls that man around by her apron strings. It wasn't for her and her store bought hair. That man I love would have gone nowhere. Okay, that's weird. I got the St. Louis blues. Blues as I can be. That man's got a heart like a rock cast in the sea, or else he wouldn't have gone so far from me. I love my baby like a schoolboy loves his pie, like a Kentucky colonel loves his mint and rye. I love my man to the day I die. Okay, and that is by W.C. Handy. Wow, okay. It's the same old story. I knew it from mom's tone of voice. I gotta earn a living. It's hard with no man around. You obey your Aunt Eva. Don't be a bother to Miss So and so. I wish things were different. We're gonna have a fine place one day, I promise. I had heard that song before. Mom was leaving me again. Ooh, yes. Leave kind words, but knowing they on their way out the door. So, but the beautiful we're working on. Mom worked as a living maid, cleaning rich people's homes, but you never know by my closet. I was sharp as a tack, even when we barely had two nickels to rub together. Mom sold some of my dresses and sent me hand-me-downs from rich white folks up north. Gingham skirts, pleated dresses, and puffy sleeve satin blouses, all dressed up. I was the cat's meow. Mmm. Yeah, I guess you was shy back then, baby. Cause you can take, like when I started out, I was doing struggle meals when I started my channel. That was some meals that I would take. Whatever you got in the cupboard, you can make a meal of it. And it was, I call it struggle meals. Yeah. So you can take hand downs, you sew it this way, you can be very creative and do it like this, do it like that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You make it your own. You make it your own. So, hold on, y'all. I got a silent call. Seems like, hold on. Hello, we're just reading from an iconic. Oh, welcome, Joyce. We're just reading from an iconic uh, artist, jazz singer, and I'm not gonna say her name because I don't know if I get a copyright for it. So I'm just reading. I love reading, so I'm just reading. Thank you for helping me with my watch time hours. I hope your day is pleasant. So I'll continue. And we have Avenue Maria, organ quiet. The priest chanted Latin prayers of consecration, consolation, or reconciliation. I knew nothing of the church, replied in song. I prayed for my mother to stay put for a while, my father to stick around for more than a few hours, and a place to call home. Thank you, Joyce, for the thumbs up. I wish on the moon. I may have been poor, may have been orphaned half the time, but for 5 cents I could lose myself in a bargain matinee. Sitting front row center at the Colored Theater, I imagined myself a damsel in satin, dripping in diamonds, safe in a hero's arms. Those movies may have been black and white, but my dream was technicolor. I left the dark theater squinting in broad daylight, stars in my eyes. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. You was doing it. If my heart could only talk. And I'm talking when I'm reading of words of this iconic jazz singer. And these were her thoughts, her words, you know, parts of how she came up, how it was hard, one the good days, the bad days. So these are just some excerpts and so of her words, her feelings, her thoughts, the things that happened in her life. If my heart could only talk. On the corner, rent party music poured in from windows. Church boys strutted by in Sunday best dress, and street vendors hawked hot crabs and roasted peanuts. As trolleys clattered past on the corner of innocence and knowledge, I posed hand on my hip, whispering to a friend about boys I like, but lacked the nerve to tell. Excuse me. So she just looked at the boys, in other words, she wasn't gonna come forward now. And so she's just like these are things that went on in her life and she put them together in a book. And most of this is like excerpts here, this her random thoughts that was put together and they was titled, you know, different things. Like they have titles. And so it's not so much like a poem as it is in truth telling, like things that actually happen. And it's like poem. It's kind of like poem to me. Poems is something that's going on there, but it's telling truth, telling feelings, things like that, of that nature. So we will continue on. I've started to like this. If my heart could only talk. On the corner, run party music poured from the windows, church was strutted by in Sunday best dress. I like this one because it takes me back to in a community that I lived in once. You know, this is like what's happening on the block where she lives or the community that she lives in. This is how they get down. You know, you got hot tart crabs and roasted peanuts as trolleys clattered past on the corner of innocence and knowledge. I posed, hand on my hip, whispered to a friend about boys I liked, but lacked the nerve to tell. So she's just checking out the boys. She's in her community. She is like, oh yeah, you know, yeah, do the thing on the block, standing around, watching things go by, people selling peanuts, roasted peanuts, and things of that nature. This is the block. This is where she lived. This is where they hung out. Ain't nobody's business if I do. That's another hint. Ain't nobody's business if I do. Okay. At 11, I had the body of a grown woman, the mouth of a sailor, and a temper hot enough to fry an egg. Yeah. What I didn't have was anyone to hug me, to tuck me in at night, or kiss me hello or and goodbye. So I got noticed the only way I knew, cursing and screaming in the streets, picking fights with anyone half as mad as me. For me, the back of a hand was better than the back of a head, better than being ignored. Jovi, hi Jovi. Have a good day, Didi. It's part of watch time hours and I'm reading. Just going to open it up my library from my colony. And this is some watch time hours I'm doing. But I like to read, so let's read something. And what I'm reading is about an artist. Just some of her excerpts, some of her words, some of her thoughts, some of the things that happened in her life, you know. And she's an icon, and she's a jazz singer. I say she is because to me, it's like she's a legend. She will live on and on, period. Thank you, Jovi. Thanks for coming by. Y'all give me a like, thumbs up. No good man. I am a fool to want you. I was tall and plump with big breasts. Men twice my age turned their heads and wagged their tongues as I walked past. Nice fellows who earned an honest buck working in a packing houses wished I would look their way. But I had no use for country boys. I fancied hot-headed hustlers in pinstripe suits and wing-tipped shoes. Men I had no business fooling with. Burley, the amateur boxer, Penny, the piano player, Charlie, who ran a pool room, Willie, who blew every dollar he ever made, Tidy and Beans, both pimps, and Douglas, a moocher without an ounce of shame. Every last man had two gals on the side, of course. So in our terms today, these will be ballers, leechers, and just has been pimps. Yeah. Mm, mm, mm. I'm painting a town red. This is some excerpts from this one. I was a moth and a fast life, a flame. Evenings found me at house parties, small clubs, and speakeasies, sipping while lightning and smoking weed. With the night owls who didn't suspect my age, one night I sang a blues I learned while listening to Vitrolas. My chirping hushed the chatter, and the night crowd clapped for more with a half dozen songs. I made the rounds at Club Paradise. Buddy loves Miss Ellis and Pop Major and was a regular at Ethel Moore's Good Time House. She was like a big sister to me. And piano players like brothers and shady after hours spots. I found a voice to grow into and someplace to belong. Mm, she's finding her wings, yo. Traveling light. I toted my songs like a satchel and felt most at home when I sang. You go to my head. I sang my songs so much that they became the soundtrack for my dreams, the melody of my moves, a room I lived in and a balm for my wounds. I sang my songs enough to know them backwards and forward enough to wonder if they could lift me from hometown haunts to center stage. I sung my songs enough to think that I could take on Baltimore's best talent at the Harlem Theater Amateur Hour and maybe even win. If you sing a song long enough, it can go to your head that way. In other words, she sung no song. She was going all in. She was going forward. Like, okay, I know my songs and I can sing them any kind of way. I know I go into this competition, I'm going to win because that's the confidence she had. I mean, like, it's her song. She, the only one at the time, knew how to sing it, how to put feeling in there, what she thought the crowd would love, like, would enjoy. Yeah, she was a content creator then. Yes. So we'll move along. Traveling all alone. Staying out till all hours at clubs and coming in bruised or tipsy. I worked out my welcome at Miss Lou's. She wrote Mom a letter telling her to come get me. Mom sent for me instead. I fastened a white dress with a red belt, and we took me to Penn Station with a basket of fried chicken and a suitcase full of hard luck. I boarded the passenger car for my first train ride and first trip out of town. May as well have been Lindbergh crossing the Atlantic, and I was only 12 at the time. Back then, our ancestor artists, were very, very young. They lived very hard lives, some of them, depending on who your ancestors were. Bridge. I covered the waterfront. As I gazed out the train window, I remembered where I lived. I started out on North Burns Street with my grandmother Martha, who was really no kin but was Mom's half sister's mother-in-law. Then Mom and I moved in with Aunt Eva and Uncle Robert on Colvin Street. Aunt Eva looked after me while Mom worked in a factory sewing army uniforms for soldiers off to war. Aunt Eva was so mean, I wished for marching orders. So her aunt was so mean, she wished she had been in the war. Oh my God. For years, I bounced from house to house when Mom married Philip Gold. My first stepdaddy had set up house on East Street. I stayed with Aunt Eva after Mom's marriage broke up. I went back with my grandmother. Then Mom rented a room. Mom rented a room from Viola Green at 609 Bond Street. Miss Vi had a ventrola, a player piano, and a son, Freddie, a brother to me. Weekends we ate eggs, bacon, tripe, fried, and batter, and hot biscuits with a bowl of molasses on the side. Mom went away on weekends and missed those meals. After years of scrimping and promising, Mom got us our own place at Dallas and Caroline Streets. Near the docks in the red lights district, a rented row house with 5 rooms, three downstairs and two up, and a bathtub in the kitchen. Wow, okay. Our house was neat as a pin, but the streets were rough. Fights broke out day and night while I was in the house of the good shepherd for playing while I was in the house of good shepherd for playing hooky. Mom moved to the west side, rented a place at 1421 North Fremont Avenue. Then we moved 2 blocks to 1425 North Argyle Street, a stone's throw from Pennsylvania Avenue. Black Baltimore, Main Drag. Mm. When I was 10, Mom and I moved in with Lucy Hill and her son, Wee Wee. My second stepdaddy, he was a gambler and a womanizer, but Mom was sweet on him, and they rented the house next door. I stayed on with Miss Lou, who was too frail to climb her own stairs, much less keep up with me. The bath was out back, and and water had to be brought indoors from the summer kitchen. A chore that fell on me. That was a chore that fell on her. On her, she had to bring water in from to the kitchen. Oh my God, from outside. And the walls were so thin I could hear Mom and Wee Wee arguing. Once, when he stayed out all night, Mom pulled a gun on him. Ooh, Mom was nothing nice. Oh Lord, Mom. If a woman's good enough for you to live with, she yelled, she's good enough for you to marry. Next thing I knew, they both gone to New York, leaving me a statue of Mary, a wall hanging of Jesus, and a bedroom set bought on credit before long. We ran back to Baltimore, but Mom stayed up north in Long Branch, New Jersey, as a maid. Mm. Every time we moved to a new place, I'd fill a jar with holy water from church to sprinkle the corners of the room. Even that didn't bring good luck. I grew up in a port city, but never dropped anchor alone. Moving around, moving around, moving around. The conductor shouted, Philly! My daydream screeched to a halt. Home was behind me now. Oh, child, this woman, she moved around a lot. Mom had paid my fare to Long Branch, New Jersey, but my heart was set on Harlem and my mind was made up. I ditched the kitty name tag and rode to New York to see the sights and catch some thrills before contacting Mom. Manhattan was more than I bargained for amidst Carlson skyscrapers. I was an ant on the sidewalk, scared to tackle the subway. I never made it uptown. A social worker spotted me wandering and could smell that I was lost. She bought me a meal and put me up for the night in what I thought was a fancy hotel, but turned out to be the YWCA. The next morning, she dropped me off at the children's home. I stayed there a couple of weeks until Miss Levy, the lady Mom worked for, picked me up. She drove to Long Branch, where Mom had hired me out as a maid. Harlem would have to wait. Yes, Harlem would have to wait. So I'm trying to, let's see. All right. So I'm gonna read a couple more of these, and then we can be done. Oh, okay, we've been in an hour. Let's call the whole thing off. In Long Branch, I worked for a fat lady whose son on the beat, Who sat on the beach all day while peeled potatoes, washed dishes, dusted knickknacks, and fluffed pillows. 15 minutes before her husband came in to work, she shifted to high gear, giving orders right and left and calling me nigger. No one had called me that before. Then one day she told me to wash her beach blanket. I said, I don't do laundry, and told her where to put her filthy blanket. She fired me on the spot. I swore I'd never be a maid again. Whoo, child. So, yes. Whew, my eyes started to get tired. I do not have um, my prescriptions yet, but they're coming. So no one was able to figure out who I'm reading about, and that's what we'll be reading about. We'll get through that. It's not a long thing. These are excerpts or short little excerpts of her story. Her story of life and where she lived and things to come. But there's a lot more excerpts, and you'll figure it out probably then. So we're gonna go into a silent live. We're gonna continue on, but it'll be a silent live, y'all. And I'm going to have my dinner. I'm way past my feed time. Maybe I'll eat and eat in front of you all or whatever. I mean, you can always catch the replay. But as I said before, we just watch time hours. And then thank you all for coming in, stopping by, dropping that like for me. I need it. And I think I'll set up and make me a plate and we'll eat. I'm not really hungry right now. I should have eaten around 9:30 or so like that, but most of the time when I cook, it takes a minute for me to eat, like really eat my meal. I don't know if it's the smell of the food or what, but I just really, it seems like I just don't be hungry. Like like it's almost as if I've eaten already. I don't know if that happened to you people, but it always happens to me. So a lot of times I cook way before I eat, so by the time it's my feed time, I'll be hungry. But tonight it just did not work out that way, and that's okay because I will eat eventually, and we're doing some watch time hours. So I don't know. I may just start reading again. I don't sleep well at night, so I'm kind of up. I got up pretty early. I mean, like most people would say it's early for me. Most people say it's kind of late, but for me it was kind of early. And you know, I'm still here, and we're gonna just do a silent live if I can get things set up. And if I want to come on and do a little mini mukbang with you all guys, I will. I will. I'm just not hungry right now. And I only eat when I'm hungry. Yeah. So we're going to silent live mode, I guess. Let's see what we're gonna do here. Let's do this. Hi Kingsley, welcome to my silent live. I was waiting at first, but thank you for coming by. Give me a thumbs up, and we're all good. Like that, thank you.